The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have officially wrapped up their rookie minicamp. It's a brief, 3-day introduction to life in the NFL. A whirlwind of drills, meetings, and first impressions. But even in just shirts and shorts, stories start to unfold. Promising players catch the eye, while others realize the gap between college and the pros is wider than expected. The reality of rookie minicamp is simple. It's an audition. At this point in the year, the roster swells to 90 players, and for many, this is their one shot to make a mark. A few hopefuls will survive the cut. Most will not. Some will land on the practice squad. Others will be waived. It's a harsh reminder that the NFL is not just about talent, it's about seizing opportunities. With rookie minicamp complete, the Buccaneers' depth chart begins to take shape, and it's a daunting list. 83 players vying for limited spots. The wide receiver group, in particular, is a puzzle. The Buccaneers have listed Mecca Ibuka as a starter, alongside veterans Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. It's a statement that shows how much faith the team has in Ibuka's potential. But just behind him is Jalen McMillan, pushing for that coveted third spot. McMillan's talent makes him a real contender, and the difference between the two may ultimately come down to consistency and adaptability during camp. Beneath them, the depth chart gets murky. Sterling Shepard, Ryan Miller, Trey Palmer, Tez Johnson, Rakim Jarrett, and Cameron Johnson all compete for what may be just a handful of spots. Tez Johnson, in particular, faces an uphill battle. 3 players are listed ahead of him, and his path to making the roster will require more than just flashy plays. It will demand discipline, dedication, and a bit of luck. Ryan Miller's name pops out, someone who has stepped up when needed. Filling in for Evans and Godwin during injuries, he showed flashes but never truly took over a game. His touchdown in Kansas City was a memorable moment, but consistency is key. Miller may find himself more suited for the practice squad unless he can take a major leap forward. Sterling Shepard's situation is equally intriguing. The veteran brings experience, but his performances last season were inconsistent. A few clutch catches balanced by frustrating mistakes. For a player of his experience, the margin for error is thin. The Buccaneers need reliable production, not just occasional brilliance. For Tez Johnson, the journey is just beginning. He's talented, no doubt, but the competition is fierce. To secure a spot, he must showcase not only his skills, but also his ability to learn, adapt, and perform under pressure. The Bucs need wide receivers who can step up when called upon. And Johnson knows this is his chance to make a lasting impression. It's only the beginning for these rookies, but the foundation is being laid. The Buccaneers' journey into 2025 is just starting to unfold. And for the players fighting for a spot, every snap counts. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at a crossroads when it comes to their wide receiver room. The expectation for leadership is clear. Veterans are supposed to set the standard. Yet, the reality is more complicated. Ryan Miller, Trey Palmer, and Rakim Jarrett are looking up the depth chart, trying to find their place. They're searching for someone to emulate, someone to guide them when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin aren't on the field. The problem? That someone hasn't emerged yet. Sterling Shepard, once seen as a stable veteran presence, has been inconsistent. He's shown flashes, sure, but also lapses that leave coaches scratching their heads. Now, it's up to Baker Mayfield to vouch for his guy. But how convincing can he be when the competition is heating up? Enter Tez Johnson. The buzz around the rookie is palpable. There's something electric about the way he moves. Agile, elusive, the kind of player who makes defenders look foolish in open space. He's not the fastest in a straight line, but his on-field speed is undeniable. Coaches see shades of Bucky Irving in him, a player who's tough to bring down and even tougher to catch. If Johnson can put those skills on display during OTAs and training camp, he has a legitimate shot at making the 53-man roster. That's a big if, but his potential as a versatile weapon makes him hard to ignore. If he steps up, the Buccaneers might just find a new dynamic element for their offense. With one spot left, The battle is wide open. The competition includes Trey Palmer, Raheem Jarrett, Cameron Johnson, and a handful of undrafted hopefuls. The coaching staff will be watching every rep, every route, every catch. They know that in a pass-heavy offense, having depth at receiver is critical. Ibuka, however, is almost a lock to see significant playing time, especially with Chris Godwin still on the mend. The team insists that Godwin's injury wasn't a factor in drafting Ibuka, but the flexibility it provides is undeniable. They can afford to be patient with Godwin now, knowing they have someone capable of stepping up. The cornerback situation is equally intriguing. The current depth chart lists Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum as the starting duo, with Tyke Smith holding down the nickel spot. But there's a twist. Rashad Wisdom, an undrafted free agent from UTSA, is surprisingly listed as a starter. It's not expected to stick, but it's a reminder that this secondary is still very much in flux. Tyke Smith's role is more secure. He's expected to pair up with Antoine Winfield Jr., stabilizing the back end. But beyond that, it's anyone's guess. Benjamin Morrison, the team's second-round pick, looms large as a potential starter. He's listed as the first option off the bench, but there's a real possibility he could surpass Jamel Dean as camp progresses. Last season's depth issues still linger in everyone's mind. When Bryce Hall went down in Week 1, the cornerback depth evaporated. Thunderberg, McCollum, and Hayes couldn't hold the line. This year, the Bucs are determined not to repeat that mistake. That's why the competition between Morrison and Dean could become one of the most pivotal storylines of camp. If Morrison shines in preseason, his chances of starting will only increase. The Bucs know that locking down the secondary is crucial, especially with the kind of firepower they'll face in the NFC South. For now, Dean remains the presumed starter, but the message is clear. Nothing is guaranteed. It's a fascinating time for the Buccaneers. Rookies are trying to prove they belong, while veterans fight to keep their spots. The road to the final 53-man roster will be paved with battles like these, moments that will shape the season before the first whistle even blows. Will Tez Johnson break through and secure his spot? Can Benjamin Morrison unseat a veteran starter? The answers will come soon enough. But one thing is certain. The competition will be fierce, and only the best will survive. By now, we've got a pretty clear picture of who Jamel Dean is as a player. Reliable, consistent, but without that extra gear that separates good from elite. That's where Benjamin Morrison could come in and shake things up. It wouldn't be surprising to see Morrison seize the starting role at some point, especially if he lives up to the promise he's shown. An ideal scenario? Morrison taking over as the CB1, with Zion McCollum on the opposite side, Antoine Winfield Jr. anchoring the safety spot, and Tyke Smith lining up alongside him. The one guy who feels like a lock in this rotation is Jacob Parrish. The Bucs showed immense confidence in him by opting not to draft a safety, despite the fact they brought in some undrafted rookies. The message is clear. Parrish is their guy. In rookie minicamp, Parrish didn't just meet expectations, he exceeded them. 2 interceptions and countless plays later, he was the talk of camp. There were plenty of big names, but in terms of on-field performance, it was Parrish who stood out. If he continues to build on this momentum, the Bucs might have found a cornerstone for their secondary. Defensive line. Depth, competition, and potential stars. Turning to the defensive line, the Bucs have some intriguing pieces. At defensive end, the starters are Khalija Kancey and Logan Hall. Behind them, it gets interesting. Mike Green and Elijah Roberts are next up, followed by Nash Hutmacher, who brings a unique size and presence. Elijah Roberts might just be the guy to watch in this group. The path to becoming the primary backup is there for the taking. While Mike Green has been around as a depth piece, his impact has been limited. Injuries have given him chances, but consistency has been lacking. Roberts, meanwhile, looks like a player who can step up and fill that gap. Todd Bowles loves rotating his linemen like a hockey line change, and if Roberts can prove himself, he'll see the field. Physically, he's built more like Will Golston than Cansey, giving the Bucs a different look when he's on the field. Mike Green has the size at 6 feet 3 inches, 293 pounds, but his production hasn't matched his potential. Roberts, at 6 feet 4 inches, 280 pounds, has the versatility to make an impact, a sleeper on the rise. David Walker. Then there's David Walker, a name that's quietly gaining traction. There's something about him that screams sleeper, that kind of underdog who surprises everyone. He's one of those small school guys Jason Licht loves to find, the diamond in the rough. If he catches fire in camp, Walker could become one of those late-round gems that Tampa Bay is known for unearthing. Ahead of Walker on the depth chart are Anthony Nelson and Chris Braswell. Braswell, a second-round pick from last year, didn't have much of a chance to prove himself. It was surprising, really, how often Joe Tryon was favored over him despite some underwhelming performances. Walker, however, could push Braswell and Nelson if he continues to develop. The Bucs need that relentless motor, that ability to crash the edge and disrupt plays. Whether Walker can earn a significant role remains to be seen, but his hunger is evident. Who will emerge? It's a pivotal offseason for the Bucs defense. Young guys like Morrison and Walker could transform the unit from a group with potential to one that delivers consistently. The secondary needs stability, and the defensive line needs depth and versatility. If the rookies and emerging players can rise to the challenge, the Bucs might just find themselves with a defense that surprises a lot of people in 2025. But as always, nothing is guaranteed. Training camp will be the proving ground, and the competition is just getting started. It's no secret that Joe Tryon's future with the Buccaneers has been in question for some time now. Most of us have come to terms with the idea that he's not a cornerstone of this defensive front. That's why it was surprising not to see Chris Braswell get more opportunities last season. It's hard to say what went on behind closed doors, but the decision to keep rolling with Tryon over Braswell left more than a few fans scratching their heads. Anthony Nelson, on the other hand, has quietly established himself as a reliable rotational piece. He may not be the most dynamic edge rusher, but every time he steps on the field, he brings effort and toughness. You never get that sinking feeling when he's out there. He's not going to rack up double-digit sacks, but he'll put in work and make timely plays. For a guy in that role, that's exactly what you want. It's worth noting that despite limited playing time, Nelson managed to produce almost as many sacks as Yaya Diaby, which says something about his efficiency. As a depth option, Nelson is dependable. In Todd Bowles' system, where rotations are frequent, having a steady presence like him can make a difference. The depth that sets them apart this year, the edge depth looks significantly improved, and it starts with the addition of Hassan Reddick. He's the kind of difference maker who instantly upgrades the pass rush. Combine that with the expected growth of Chris Braswell and the consistent play of Nelson, and suddenly the defensive end room doesn't look so thin. Behind them, David Walker and Jose Ramirez are intriguing wildcards. They may not be starters right now, but they represent the kind of depth that good teams need. You can see the potential in Walker, a small school player with a chip on his shoulder and plenty to prove. It's going to take a strong offseason to crack the rotation, but the talent is there. The X factor here is Yaya Diaby. He's got the physical tools to be an impact player, but it's about finishing the job. Last year, he was able to pressure quarterbacks, but too often, those pressures didn't translate into sacks. Bowles needs more than just disruption. He needs those drive-killing plays where the quarterback hits the turf. Having Reddick on the opposite side should help, drawing attention and potentially giving Diaby more one-on-one opportunities. The road ahead. Competition breeds excellence for Walker. It's all about making the most of every snap during OTAs, training camp, and preseason. The depth chart right now is crowded, but it's not set in stone. If Walker can consistently show he belongs, he might just force the Bucs' hand. After all, this time of year is all about seizing opportunities and making a name for yourself. There's still time for Diaby to develop into the kind of pass rusher the team envisioned when they drafted him. He knows that pressures aren't enough. Finishing plays is what changes games. With Reddick as a mentor and Bowles pushing him, it's make or break time. The competition is fierce, and that's exactly how the Bucs want it. Iron sharpens iron, and with a mix of veterans, promising rookies, and sleeper prospects like Walker, this edge unit has the potential to surprise a lot of people.